Two BC First Nations are taking the federal government to court, fighting a decision that allows fish farms to continue to operate off BC's coast for another 5 years. They say there was a failure to consult them ahead of issuing new licenses. The lawsuit comes after the feds announced last month they would be banning open net fish farming on the west coast by 2029, 5 years after the last promised deadline. Bob Chamberlain, chair of the First Nations Wild Salmon Alliance, was standing beside the members of Parliament during that announcement.
And I stated then that the devil would be in the details, the conditions of license in the new regulations. Today shows you that the devil is in those details. The devil is in those conditions of licenses.
He says there's been no effective change in the regulations for fish farms. The alliance represents 120 First Nations opposed to open net Atlantic salmon farming because of the impact they say it has on native sockeye salmon who migrate through the same waters. They say disease and parasites can pass from the farmed fish onto the wild population. There's concern among the First Nations that government will not follow through on its promise to ban open net salmon farming by 2029, and further, that with an election on the horizon, a change in government could lead to a change in policy on the subject. There's another layer to the discussion. 17 coastal First Nations have partnerships with salmon farms operating in their communities. In many, aquaculture is the primary industry. The new rules would allow land-based enclosed salmon farms, but members of those nations say it's too expensive and electrically intensive for the small communities to manage, so the industry would simply disappear. Nungee's elected chief Victor Isaac says his issue isn't with those nations, but with the companies carrying out the fish farming operations.
There's some First Nations that are real remote, really remote, and I think industry is taking advantage of that. You know, they come into your area and they make promises, you know, to give you dollars to set up in their camp there, in their territories, and they know that's what it is, you know, and it's wrong. You know, taking advantage and trying to pit us against one another.
He says his nation is currently doing land-based closed fish farming, something which could be copied in the nations doing open net farming. In a statement to City News, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans acknowledged the lawsuit, but, quote, "As this matter is now before the courts, it would be inappropriate to comment further." In Vancouver, Jack Morse, City News.